Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Fordy Runs. Now, if this is your first time at Fordy Runs, I want you to smash that pink button down there that says subscribe on it. Go up to our Facebook page and join the Fordy Runs running community and check out the description. There's loads of cool things down there. Right, this week it's all about the speed, so let's get stuck in. Right guys, so here it is, the Skechers Gorun Razor 3 Hyper. Now this shoe's been out quite a while now, actually 2019, but here in the UK, for whatever reason, we really struggled to get hold of Skechers running shoes at all. So I sent the old notification up so that when these came in stock, I could finally get my hands on it. I don't know why that is in the UK. I think a lot of people associate Skechers with like old people, but that's not the case. They make some really good running shoes, and some of them you can pick up quite cheap as well. But the Razor 3 is a racing shoe, right? Now, if you've not seen the Gorun 8 video I did, it's a daily training shoe, check that out. But it's got the Hyperburst midsole, which is why I refer to it. So when this came out and it had the Hyperburst midsole, but it was set up as a lightweight racing shoe, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. But like as I said, I've had to wait quite a while. Firstly, let's get into some of the stats about the shoe. I think the biggest thing is its weight. This shoe is weighing in at 6.4 ounces, which is nothing. 6.4 ounces, that's unbelievable. It's got a 4mm drop on it. Like I mentioned a minute ago, you've got the Hyperburst midsole. You've got a moulded heel counter at the back to add stability and a secure fit. You've got this sort of translucent mesh upper, which again, you've got there for sort of stability and obviously more importantly, breathability. You've got strategically placed rubber on the outsole, which is providing the durability and traction. And you've got the sort of, the whole thing is like based on a rocker as well, which is pretty cool. So it's, again, you're getting that nice roll through as well. The shoe cost me £125, which is a lot of money for a Skechers shoe, I think, but I think it's worth it. So what do I think? Well, firstly, why did I want to buy the shoe, apart from the fact it looks awesome? I wanted to get it because of the Hyperburst midsole, which I really enjoyed in the Gorun 8, and the lightness. The Hyperburst midsole is very similar to the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. Now, if you've not seen that video, I'd recommend you checking it out. Now, for me, that is my sort of go-to now, sort of half marathon 10K race shoe that I put into my rotation after testing it. The two midsoles are very similar because they're both infused with nitrogen, which makes them lightweight but explosive. And they're very both, what's the best, that's bad English by the way, but sort of they're compact and not sort of soft. What I'm trying to get at with Zoom X is quite soft and it's quite a sort of springy feel. So when you are running at speed in them, you're getting that sort of energy return, and it's going, you're sort of boom, 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 like on trampoline. Probably the best way to describe it. With this, it's a lot firmer, but you still get the energy return. And it's not as noticeable, say, as the Zoom X, which is softer, but you are still getting a decent amount of cushioning and energy return from the midsole. And obviously it's lightweight, which is a real plus. So that's the kind of way I think to hopefully explain it. It's a different feel to a Zoom X. It's a lot firmer, but it's not hard. I really like it with this shoe in particular. This might sound silly because this is a racing shoe. I really like it actually on the easy pace runs. If you're like me, I do like a 10-minute warm-up before I do a tempo session or an interval session. And this shoe actually at that lower speed is really, really comfortable. Sometimes with like racing shoes, they're quite firm, and if you're doing those lower speeds, they don't really come into their own. But this, just poodling along, doing those easy pace runs up until where I sort of get into the sort of main session, this felt great. And also what I really enjoyed, but this may not be for everybody, it's quite wide fitting, in particular in the toe box. It was quite wide, which for me, having that sort of wider foot was quite nice. And there's also a decent amount of padding around here. So the tongue's minimalistic, but even though it is a racing shoe, there is still a decent amount of padding again, which I really liked. The lacing, you know, it locks you down. It's nothing fancy about it. What is cool is this may look like fancy and awesome, but this sort of strategically placed overlays are there to add a little bit of stability, because otherwise this would be very, very flexible and very, very flimsy. So that does add some structure to the shoe, which I kind of wasn't expecting, but that was there. It's very flexible as well. It's not like, you know, a carbon plated shoe, which is like stiff. So how did I feel when I was running? Well, like I said a minute ago, at lower paces, this was great, but it really came into its element where I really picked it up, as you'd expect. It was sort of, in those sort of tempo runs is really where it felt great, where I was more up on my toes. I was striking here. I am a bit of a heel striker, but I was really coming along on the front, and with that roll through with the rocker, it just felt great. So the faster I was getting, as you'd expect with a Razor shoe, the more it felt like it was helping me and pushing me on. I wouldn't necessarily use this shoe over a marathon distance. I think where this fits in nicely, and probably I'll do a comparison, is versus the Brooks Hyperion. So like that half marathon distance, that 10k distance. That 10k distance, half marathon distance, I've been using a 4%, and I switched out my rotation for the Brooks. But this is where I see that shoe, and even over like a 5k park run distance, again, this is where I think I see this shoe coming in. It's just the lightness and the whole package with the Hyperburst. It just feels great, and that's the thing. You've got on the outsole, you know, enough rubber to keep you out of trouble. I've not run these down the toe parts and canal parts. I've do all my sort of speed sessions on the roads and on set areas where there's tarmac and stuff like that. You may have seen some of it in my B-rolls, but I particularly stick to the tarmac because I like to run on the tarmac, the nice flat surfaces when I'm doing speed sessions. So I don't know how it will last up versus down the canal pass where they may get a bit chewed up, but I probably won't take them down there anyway, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you about that. But yeah, so overall I've not had a problem with the traction, although I've not run these in the wet, so that's one thing I would say. But you know what, they feel all right. So yeah, overall, I think if you're looking for something a little bit different, if you're looking for something maybe, you know, like I said, to come in for that sort of 10k, 5k, even half marathon distance, very, very lightweight shoe, but more importantly, something different and cheaper than a Brooks Hyperion shoe, I think this is definitely worth a look.